Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome back to After the Buzzer. I am your host, Couper Moorhead, and today we are talking about the Miami Heat's 119-104 loss to the LA Clippers, Miami's fifth loss in a row. It was another tough one, was not particularly close at the end as the Clippers kind of held off with a double-digit lead. We will talk about the game. We will talk about where the Heat are in the standings, what the playoff situation looks like. Look, the Clippers, they're on a back-to-back. They didn't have Kawhi Leonard, no Norm Powell, and it's important to establish the circumstances of the other team just as much as it is for the Heat. If the Heat are missing people, if the Heat are on a back-to-back, you got to note the context. But from the get-go, James Harden tonight was really orchestrating James Harden offense, a lot of pick and roll, a lot of isolation, but it was hurting Miami. He was getting the ball to Zubac in the paint. The Clippers were shooting well overall. The Heat had to eventually bring doubles both on isolations. They had to double Zubac in the post. The Heat weren't able to really stop much of it at all, whether it's from the outside or from the inside. There was a pattern tonight where once the Clippers got up by double digits, the Heat would come back. Usually it was because the Heat were hitting threes or they were forcing turnovers, which that was one of the best parts of the game. The Heat were forcing some live ball turnovers. We'll get to that in a second. But the Heat would kind of creep back in. It'd be down 6, 5, 4, and then there'd be a timeout. And then out of the timeout, the Clippers would immediately come back, push the lead, go on a 5-0 run, a 6-0 run, push the lead back to around double digits. And that same pattern played out probably 4, 5, 6 times over the course of the game. The Heat did have a chance to get it within one late in the game, but then, again, right after that, the Heat missed a couple free throws. Clippers came back, big run, double digits, and it was double digits from there. The best play of the game came in the second quarter where Pelle Larsson dove on the ball, and then he was wrestling for the ball on the ground. Then he dove on it again. There were a bunch of bodies on the floor. It was a skirmish, a brouhaha. There's a lot going on. He eventually gets the ball to Terry Rozier. Rozier hits a three. That's the best night of crowd noise that really brought some life into the arena. But, again, the Clippers responded almost immediately after that and just held out the stiff arm for the entire night. Zubac scored a ton inside. Bogdan Bogdanovic hit a bunch of jumpers in the fourth to kind of seal it off. And then in the fourth quarter, once those threes and turnovers dried up, the things that were kind of keeping Miami attached a little bit, that were helping those runs, those things dried up. Miami got a little bit cold, and then the game was pretty much over from there. One thing I want to talk about with this game, one of the most under-discussed parts, and we've talked about it a little bit, is that of this season, under-discussed parts of the season, is that the Heat have not been forcing turnovers in a way that matches what their defense is supposed to be, what the intentions of their defense is to be disruptive, to be aggressive. That's what Eric Spoelstra wants his scheme to be. That's his philosophy. But they're number 21 this season coming into tonight, into the Clippers game. They're number 21 in opponent turnover percentage. It's not really where they want to be. It was interesting, though, against the Clippers where they ended up doubling, sometimes a hard double, sometimes a late double, sometimes they kind of faked a double, both on Zubac in the post, Harden on the wing when he got a switch, when he got somebody that they didn't want Harden playing one-on-one with. There's just a lot of two on the ball to get the Clippers rotating, to get the Clippers scramble mode on offense with trying to hit the next guy, trying to make the next pass. It generated a lot of turnovers. The Clippers had turnovers in bunches. They had 18 turnovers overall, and a bunch of those, at least 14 of them, were Heat steals, were live ball turnovers that went the other way, and ended up being one of Miami's better fast break point games. They had 20 fast break points to the Clippers 4. Only reason we mentioned this, it's not really a night for silver linings, but Spo, after the game, mentioned, he's trying to get Andrew Wiggins and Davion Mitchell acclimated to what he wants their defense to be. And Wiggins, when I asked him about that, the disruptiveness that Spoelstra wants from the defense, Wiggins said it's actually different from what he's played before. It's a different style. It's a different focus defensively. So he's still getting up to speed. And there were some great moments tonight where he was part of the double teams and everything. But, it's just another reminder that a lot of this stuff is still on the fly. It's not an excuse for these losses. I know nobody wants to hear about losing streaks and why things are happening. You just want to see wins eventually, because wins are all that really matter right now as far as a playoff picture. But, again, Spoelstra is trying to take guys who have done different things and get them into what the Heat want to do. And you saw a little bit of that tonight with the forced turnovers. It helped. It kept them in the game for a while, and then the game was pretty much over in the fourth quarter. Now, beyond the game, here's what the standings are looking like. It's not ideal from what we were saying even just 10 days ago. Really, the Heat are number 9. They are 7.5 games back of the number 6 spot, which is Detroit. Detroit keeps winning. So 7.5 games back, fewer than 20 games to go. It's tough sledding. You're trying to ice skate uphill at that point. Still doable, but you're going to need a lot of help. You're going to need to catch fire almost immediately. The 6th spot, climbing out of the play-in, looking unrealistic. Dropping out of the play-in, still also looking unrealistic. They're 2.5 back of the Hawks at number 7, so having home court for the first game for a win-1 and get-in situation. That's also, there's some separation there, but, the 7, 8, 9 spots are still completely up for grabs. So it's 5 losses in a row for Miami. They've got another one coming up soon. The games keep coming. March is a very, very busy month. But that's all for now. We will talk to you again very soon. Thank you for joining me on After the Buzzer. I'm Couper Moorhead, and take care.